So way back in 1846, even before COVID, the Oregon Treaty divided up Britain and the U.S., along the 49th parallel to the middle of the channel which separates the continent from Vancouver Island, and thence southerly through the middle of the said channel, and of the Strait of Juan de Fuca, to the Pacific Ocean. However, there were actually two straits that could be considered the middle of the channel, the Haro Strait, and the Rosario Strait, which were separated by the San Juan Islands. If the Haro Strait was chosen as the border, then San Juan would be American, but if Rosario was chosen, then San Juan would be part of Britain. Because this was not specified in the Oregon Treaty, both sides considered the San Juan Islands as their territory, and this small technicality was exploited in 1859, 13 years later. Enter an American named Lyman Cutler. He was minding his own business, growing some potatoes, when he sees a certain large black pig eating his potatoes and destroying his crops. This was not the first time, and Lyman was so upset that he shot the pig. Poor pig. Well, turns out, the pig had an owner, Charles Griffin, who was angry. Cutler offered to pay him $10, but Griffin was unhappy and demanded $100, around $2,300 in today's money. Cutler said that the pig was trespassing on his land and that it was eating his potatoes, to which Charles replied, "It is up to you to keep your potatoes out of my pig." When the British threatened to arrest Cutler, the Americans played their favorite move, calling the military. The Americans sent 66 American soldiers, led by Captain George Pickett, to the tiny island of San Juan. The British, who were famous for sending their soldiers to tiny islands, sent 3 warships to the island, probably spooking every fish that lived in the San Juan Straits. The situation continued to escalate. Within a month, on the tiny island of San Juan there were 461 Americans with 14 cannons, opposed by 5 British warships with 70 guns and carrying 2,140 men. The governor of the Vancouver Island, James Douglas, ordered his admiral to engage in combat with the Americans. His admiral refused, saying 2 great nations in a war over a squabble about a pig is foolish. Both sides had been told to defend, but to never fire the first shot. So instead, for the next week, both sides shouted insults, hoping to cause the other to fire, essentially inventing the roast battle. It took a whole month for news to reach London and Washington, possibly because the Wi-Fi was lagging. America, already dealing with the dawning of the Civil War, knew that they could not afford another full-scale battle, especially one that began with a pig and some potatoes. Both sides agreed to remove their troops save for around 100 people. Because of the Civil War in 1861, this matter stayed undecided for 12 years. Finally, in 1871, the Americans and British asked the German Emperor, Wilhelm I, to decide who won, and which strait would be used as the border. It took them 1 year. 1 whole year. Long story short, the Americans won, and Haro Strait became the border. The lesson? Countries often make dumb decisions over small things, and America won their only battle against Canada, over a pig. And some potatoes.